please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, good advanced decline ratio as well. So we currently stand at around 2:1. Very good session for the metal stock. So Vedanta is your top gainer on the Nifty, above its close to its 100-day moving average for that stock, up around 3.3%. Hindalco also, which is not doing too badly, that too is above its 100-day moving average as we speak. So that stock is up around 3% as well. But we have another query now. Om Prakash writes to us from Andhra Pradesh. He holds 500 shares of Adani Ports at 410 since a day. He's a medium-term investor and wants to know whether to hold or sell that particular stock. Well, Gaurang, what would you recommend? I'm sure Om Prakash has some anxiety after seeing what happened with Adani stocks today in the morning. But good intraday recovery. But what would you recommend to him on a medium-term basis on his holding?
Well, again, you know, we saw the markets going all over the place since the market opened up. And of course, then the swing in the numbers, Ekta, towards BJP and Congress. Even now, we're seeing, as you and Nigel were highlighting. You know, on Adani Ports, unfortunately, we don't have a specific coverage, but we do maintain a particular stock which is in this particular logistic sector, that is Gateway Distriparks. So my sense is that if you're not looking at short to medium term, but long term, Gateway Distriparks would be the stock, and they are present in almost all the major ports, Tier 1, Tier 2 cities, and of course there is a great capex that they have lined up. So that would possibly have an impact on the upside as a long-term investment.
Okay, all right then. So that's the view on the clutch of stocks. But let's try to squeeze in one last query before we wind up. Ashwini writes to us from Pune. She wants to invest 40,000 rupees in Prestige Estates. That too for the longer term. Wants to know when is the right time to enter the market. Prakash, coming across to you first, and then we'll go across to Gaurang. Technically, is it the right stock?
Yes, basically the structure is positive, so it's into buy mode. The strong support is in the vicinity of around 230. That's a very, very strong support. If it comes there, that's the place to buy. Between 230 and 260, that's the zone I would like to buy if it corrects there.
Okay, all right, Prakash, as well as Gaurang, thanks very much for joining in this afternoon and taking us through all of those queries that we have from all of our viewers. We have to wrap up the show with the news that the Nifty is steady, 10,411 is holding currently there, and the Sensex at 33,697. We're going to leave you with some opinion from market watchers on the Gujarat verdict.
I don't see a panic. Clearly, I don't see huge withdrawals. However, the flow of money which is coming into the markets, 20-25,000 crore rupees per month, which is what the trend we have seen for the last few months, that might get muted a little bit. But I don't see withdrawal. And a lot of people who've been sitting on the sidelines, they may use, if there is a serious correction in the market, they may use that as a buying opportunity.
This is a huge wake-up call, and I think, I think there's not going to be, it's one state, but it's the home state. So there's clear signs of, I would say, alarm, if not panic. But having said that, I think we can't run away from the fact that this is also giving them time to regroup, because there's obviously a few things that have gone wrong. People have underestimated the resurgence of the Congress, if you will. And I think that's been the big thing. I think what will be a bigger force to reckon with is that the opposition will unite big time now. And I think that's going to be a cause for worries.
It's a great thing happening for the country at this point of time, because I think it's very important for both sides of the narrative to have equal importance in any political dialogue, any economic dialogue and so on. And so far it has been a one-way street. This is a kind of a wake-up call that there are different parts of India being affected differently, and therefore there is more than just the stock market which is going to impact the fortunes of this country. I think it's a great thing happening to this country, because it's going to do a lot of course corrections. I think that's more important. The real earning will come when the small, the medium sector, everybody starts to participate in the economy, which was the segment lagging behind for so far in favor of the corporates.
Most Asian markets are trading with mild positive bias. In fact, the one that you should be looking at is the Nikkei.
This is not a day to predict. This is just a day to see what the market is telling you post 10 a.m., post 10:30. And if the market is making a big move, then you have to participate in that big move.
Almost a 2% cut on the Nifty.
Points,
yeah, and 2.5% cut on the Nifty Bank.
Sharp recovery for the market now, by the way. So 10,251 on the Nifty, 25,270 on the Bank Nifty.
The flow of money which is coming into the markets, 25,000 crore rupees per month, which is what the trend we have seen for the last few months, that might get muted a little bit.
I think what will be a bigger force to reckon with is that the opposition will unite big time now. And I think that's going to be a cause for worry.
This is a kind of a wake-up call that there are different parts of India being affected differently, and therefore there is more than just the stock market which is going to impact the fortunes of this country.
गुजरात की जनता ने सभी लोगों को नकारने का काम किया है और ये मान करके चला है कि नहीं, हमने प्रधानमंत्री भी दिया है तो हम प्रधानमंत्री के द्वारा निर्देशित मुख्यमंत्री भी देंगे.
What we understand is around 60 to 70,000 crores at the minimum, because government is very clearly indicated it's going to be front-loaded. And they're doing it in the supplementary writers.
This was the catalyst point for Modi government to move forward, and I think BJP coming in is a very good sign in both the states.
The Nifty near the 10,400 odd mark, and even the Sensex has climbed down about 100 odd points from the top.
Well, it's been a manic day, make no mistake about that. The market has had, of course, various swings. There's been story of two different halves, or let's say first 15 minutes and then the rest of the trading day. Of course, the bulls have survived a bit of a bit of a scare, and now almost at the high point of the day. Let's see if in last hour we can take that out. This is closing bell, of course, with me, Surabhi as usual, and Lata is also with me. Lata, hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, big day, so we all want to have some part in the excitement. Well, it's a day when all parties have something to be happy about and something to rue about. Whether it is bulls or bears, whether it is NDA or UPA, BJP or Congress. The BJP, after 6 terms, can still claim that under the worst of circumstances, the worst attacks of GST and losing its chief minister to the prime ministership post, has still romped home. Ultimately, as one of their own leaders put it, Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar. The Congress can claim that this is perhaps, it has bottomed out, as you put it earlier in the day. The stock of Congress has bottomed out. It is able to come back after losing 6 terms in the home state of the Prime Minister with a decent number than what any of the exit polls predicted. Likewise for the Bulls and the Bears, there's something to groan about and something to be happy about.
Oh, yes, Surabhi, you want to take us through how the market is doing?
Yeah, absolutely, Anuj. I mean, as you mentioned, we've been holding up pretty much at the highs of the day. But I don't want to sound like the party pooper and the nitpicker, but given that this went, barring that morning scare, given that this went as per script, yes, we've got 100+. Global cues are very positive. Today is not the day we've taken out that all-time high. We don't have a crude problem today. We don't have a global problem today. Elections, the result is, barring the initial hiccups, and yet we're not there with huge momentum, Anuj.
Yes.
Not after the first rush.
Exactly.
You're being a realist.
No, I tell you something, Surabhi. Look, we are at the high point almost, and still not done deal. I mean, in 99.80, it should be fine. But look, normally, Surabhi, some resistance is always there at all-time highs. Just see that, you cannot just, have one-to-one correlation that, the BJP win and market immediately goes back to all-time high. What have we achieved right now is status quo. The problem would have been if the status quo would have been disturbed. In that case, the market could have broken the lower end of the range. What we have done right now is that, in fact, if we close here, we are practically closing at all-time high on a closing basis. And, anecdotally, all-time highs are taken out with a gap. Because, as you move towards all-time highs, that's what you saw at 1 o'clock today. There was some profit taking because you moved towards all-time highs. When you move towards all-time highs, there's always some resistance, and normally it's a gap up which takes you past. My sense is that if, global cues remain benign, and if Dow also gives us the kind of rally that the Dow futures are indicating, then perhaps tomorrow, day after, if there's a gap up, that takes out all-time high, because that's been the template of this market. 10,500 could then become the new base for this market, just like 10,000 has been for better part of last 4 or 5 months.
Oh, absolutely. Only one niggling, issue, Alata. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this. the fact that it's in the rural base of the state that the Congress has done well, and I was reading some commentary, and of course all kinds of comments are pouring in right now, whether that will give way to slight more populism as we head into 2019, because it's the rural base where the Congress has managed to gain. So I don't know if that's something that could be on the market's mind. Fiscal, we've been having the bond deal conversation. Perhaps, I mean, that was one interesting takeaway for me, I thought, from the verdict.
I don't even know if a political scientist will be able to answer that question with accuracy. It is something which only a politician and only one politician can really answer. I'm not very sure. You know, the reaction will always be anyway to distress. I don't think the leadership, the Prime Minister, needed the Gujarat elections to tell us there's rural distress. There were farmer agitations all the time underway in the centre. So I don't think that is reason enough for populism. And I somehow believe that this government has been extremely strict on fiscal prudence. I don't think that will be reason enough. And if there is a bit of expenditure on rural areas, that's welcome anyways. I'm not ready to believe that fiscal prudence will be thrown to the winds in the last year of this government.
Absolutely no such concern exhibited by the bond market, at least today. Yields have been very steady throughout the session. On that note, let's bring you the top headlines as we get into closing bell this afternoon. BJP all set to romp home in both Gujarat as well as in Himachal Pradesh. However, the margin of victory is lesser than the previous majority in Gujarat.
The market survives an initial scare. Sensex recovers over 1,000 points from intraday lows, in line with the clarity in the Gujarat polls. Nifty trades above 10,400, while Midcap Index and the Nifty Bank gain a percentage each. The global metal prices rise after China moves to remove the export tax on steel products. Indian metal stocks surge, led by 3% moves in Vedanta and Hindalco.
Okay, how should you position yourself in this last hour of trade? We have Prakash Gaba and Mitesh Thakkar now joining us with closing strategies. Good afternoon. Mitesh, your thoughts first on the day and, of course, your closing strategies?
Good afternoon, Anuj. I think it's been clearly a choppy day, mainly driven by news flows. But a couple of things which are important as an observation. One, we've kind of once again bounced back from the 10,100 area. The Bank Nifty again has bounced back from 24,800, 900 sub that zone. And I think, despite the fact that we are slightly lower on in terms of the seats possibly going to the ruling party compared to what the average of exit polls suggested, I think the market is holding on pretty well. So I would be pretty comfortable in this kind of scenario. After seeing such volatility, I think it's normal for the market to settle down and therefore, be slightly inactive. But overall, I think we will test those all-time highs possibly in a day or two. For the timing, I have two buy calls. L&T Finance is a buy with a stop at 168 for targets of 180, and Whirlpool is a buy with a stop at 1550 for targets of 1700.
Okay, I have lots more questions for you, Mitesh, but let's get initial thoughts from Prakash as well. Prakash, is there a Nifty trade now which you will take over, take over till tomorrow or maybe for a couple of days, and a Nifty Bank trade?
Yes, certainly. I would say that Nifty, so far the trend is still up. We had a target of 10,434. That's achieved. It's gone beyond it. I would say there's a strong support in the Nifty at 10,380. As long as that holds, there is a trade on the long side. Buy today and continue until tomorrow. When I look at the Bank Nifty, exactly similar as the case. Beautiful support around the 25,600 zones. I would say that as long as Bank Nifty holds about 25,600, 25,575, I think there is a trade on the long side. Give a couple of days, we could see Bank Nifty climb to levels closer to around 26,000. So it's up.
Okay, a lot of stocks surging right now. Just take a look at the intraday chart of three stocks, Raymond, Arvind and Century Textiles. All these stocks have moved to high point. And in fact, quite a bit of surge in Raymond in last 5 minutes of trade. Look at that. That's Raymond, of course. That's Century Textiles also had a high point. And Arvind as well, moving to high point of the day.
Bombay Dyeing. So today textiles are doing well.
Yeah, exactly. Let's
if you can call Bombay Dyeing textiles.
Our fundamental guest as well, SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com and Murish Joshi of Angel now joining us. Good afternoon. Mr. Tulsian, your thoughts first. Bit of a status quo, but number of seats getting reduced. Of course, your call has been that post-14th we should see a big rally after advanced tax, issues are over and Gujarat election outcome. But I mean, your thoughts on how the day has panned out today and what's your prognosis now going forward?
So since you have asked on that few slightly small, less seat than what was predicted, See, let's see the half glass full or half glass empty. At one point of time, media has even given the edge to the Congress also, which has created a lot of confusion and volatility. Now nobody, I think if you have heard me on the, maybe at least 8 to 10 times I've said that 104 is the figure, on which the BJP should revolve around. I don't think that you should really be fussy for plus minus 4 or plus minus 5 seats. After having 22 years of the ruling, I'm just giving you the scenario first on the Gujarat. I don't think that one would have really expected the seat tally of 125, 130 or 135, maybe 120. Now come on the situation where as a market analyst or maybe as a stock market analyst, two things stands out very clearly, that GST and demonetization is not the issue at all. In fact, media have all been testing this from UP election, that this is a referendum on the demonetization. Then here for Gujarat elections, it has been said that it is a referendum on GST. Now take the situation first on South Gujarat. There is a clean sweep. I was not expecting this kind of response. There has been accretion of maybe about 2 or 3 seats, in South Gujarat, which has been lost in Saurashtra and Kutch. Come on Central Gujarat, again the same situation, whether you take the Panchmahal, Vadodara, Gujarat, that is Ahmedabad. So I don't think that there has been, in fact in Surat, people have all been hue and cry, whether it is textile or whether it is diamond and all that. So it's a clear-cut case as a stock market analyst, and it's a big relief that GST demonetization, in my view, is an old buried topic now, which we should not discuss, but still sometimes we see them getting again revived. And I don't think that GST, definitely there are issues which will get sorted out maybe by end of March. Still there are a lot of pain and kind of hardships being faced, but I don't think that per se GST has seen as an issue, or maybe in the Gujarat I'm talking on this. Now come on the reason for this lower seats has been a poor state of the farmers, largely on two things. One on the lower realization for cotton and for groundnut, and that has really seen having an impact in the Saurashtra and Kutch region, where Congress has seen having an edge over the BJP in that pocket, which has always been taken as this one. I don't think that Patidar is also seen to be issue. So yes, the rural and the farmers, have to be taken care of. If they have not been, if they will not get the good realizations for their crop and all that, this will definitely be seen as a negative. Whether we call it as a populist measure, that in the budget we will be seeing more focus on agriculture, I think it will again be a mean approach, that calling it as a populist budget. We rightly need to give the focus on the increasing the farm income, which has been agenda of this government, of doubling the farm income of the farmers in the next 5 years. Whether they succeed or not, that's a different case. So coming on this will be seen quite positive, and this has been taken by market in the right spirit. If you would not have seen that in the morning kind of confusion with a first round when you have 14 rounds, and with one round of polling, if we take a call that the Congress has been taking a lead, I think that was wrong, but wisely so, or sanity prevailed, and that got corrected immediately in next half an hour or so. So I think that situation will normalize from here on, and I have been maintaining all along, I don't know whether I will be right or not, that I don't think that this is the last budget going to be of this government. We will be seeing one more budget in 2018, maybe in the end of November, due to change of accounting year. And definitely government will be working more for increase of the rural income, which will be in fact seen extremely positive for the economy going forward.
Okay, interesting point, Mr. Tulsin. Take that. Perspectives can differ and might not necessarily be populist. It could be seen as improving rural incomes and basically companies that focus on agriculture and rural India. Mayuresh Joshi is also with us. Mayuresh, the other interesting thing today has been the big revival in PSU bank stocks. I mean, all parts of the market are largely doing well, but the likes of PNB, SBI. Of course, we are waiting for more details of the recap now. Would you buy any specific PSU bank?
So afternoon, Surbi, yes, I think that's what a wide anticipation has been, the manner and methodology in which the PSU recap will happen. And to a large extent, I think the kind of stress that we have witnessed on PSU sheets, again, SBI being a sole exception among the large cap names,
But the net stress assets obviously have come down. Take, for instance, PNB, the overall net stress assets stand around 11%, and it's comparatively lower. Is that stress going to go away in a jiffy? Obviously not. I think you still need a few quarters of recovery to probably take place, which means that the credit costs will still remain elevated in the system, and you've got additional stress points coming through from the power sector. So I think it's going to be a slow and gradual recovery. But yes, the larger name, State Bank, is something that I've always liked. I've kept liking that. So it's a clear hold from my side. Among the larger banks, I think PNB again is something that I would continue to like on declines. And with the smaller banks, Vijaya Bank is something that I like, because if you look at the key parameters in terms of reported GNPAs, NPAs, it probably stands out and it falls probably in the top 3 performing banks along with Indian Bank and State Bank of India. Again, if you overall take the balance sheet size and the net NPAs to the overall net worth, I think it's quite comparable in terms of commendable performance that State Bank and Indian Bank have meted out. So my perception is, in terms of stacking, it is right there at the top. And in terms of asset quality pressures, GNP is expected to come down to 5%, NIM is expected to improve. And credit costs, though it might elevate a little bit because of provisioning still remaining low for the bank at 32%, I think the return ratios will definitely show signs of improvement, 0.5 on ROEs to 0.8, 0.9, and ROE is also showing significant improvement. So yes, Vijaya Bank among the small caps is something that I like in the PSU space.
Okay, by the way, we haven't asked Prakash his stock-wise strategies. Prakash?
Yes, I have 2 stocks, both on the long side. I like Bajaj Finserv. That certainly is looking good. Seen a good base formation. Can climb to levels closer to 5,350. Would have a stop below 5,100 and trade long here. I also like CRISIL. Here too, I feel there's a good base formation. Again, an up move has started. The target on this side is around 1,870 on the upside. Stop below 1,800 should be fine.
Sorry, you were saying?
I was just saying the EC website, I mean, if you go by that, it's 97 now for the BJP, 79 for Congress. The Bharatiya Tribal Party, of course, is a Congress ally, so that's 81, and NCP also, you would want to assume that is an Congress ally, so making it 82, 97, 82. There are 3 independents. Of course, it should still be a BJP win, but the margin might be slightly lower than what
3-figure and 2-figure makes only a psychological difference.
Yeah, it does. But you know what? The halfway mark is 92. So, if you are at 97, you're only 5 seats above the majority mark. That is just a limited point. Anyway, the market also slightly off the high point, but again, we are very close to all-time highs. We'll take a break. Up next, of course, we are getting you the top market voices on the Gujarat election. We'll get some more. We'll speak to Gautam Chowcharia of UBS Securities.